Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 4, entitled The Atrocities of King Kamsa, Text 38. Yatha mayo ange samupekshito ribhir Yatha mayonge samupekshito nribhir na shakyate rudha padaha chikitsitum न शक्यते रूढपदश्चिकित्सितुम् यथेन्द्रिय ग्राम उपेक्षितः तथा यथेन्द्रिय ग्राम उपेक्षितस्तथा रिपुर महान बद्ध बलो न चाल्यते रिपुर महान बद्ध बलो न चाल्यते यथा मयोंगे समुपेक्षितो नृभिर् न शक्यते रूढपदश्चिकित्सितुम् यथेन्द्रियग्राम उपेक्षितस्तथा रिपुर्महान् बद्धबलो न चाल्यते यथा मयोऽङ्गेनमुपेक्षितो नृभिर्न शक्यते रूढपदश्चिकित्सितुम् यथेन्द्रियग्राम उपेक्षितस्तथा रिपुर्महान् बद्धबलो न चाल्यते यथा मयोऽङ्गे समुपेक्षितो नृभिर्न शक्यते रूढपदश्चिकित्सितुम् यथेन्द्रियग्राम उपेक्षितस्तथा रिपुर्महान् बद्धबलो न चाल्यते. Mataji, anyone? Yatha, as amayaha, a disease, ange, in the body, samupekshitaha, being neglected, nribhihi, by men, na, not, shakyate, is able, rudhapadaha, when it is acute, chikitsitum, to be treated, yatha, and as, indriya gramaha, the senses, upekshitaha, not controlled in the beginning, tatha, similarly, ripu mahan, a great enemy, baddhabalaha, if he becomes strong, na, not, chalyate, can be controlled. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. As a disease, if initially neglected, becomes acute and impossible to cure, or as the senses, if not controlled at first, are impossible to control later, an enemy, if neglected in the beginning, later becomes insurmountable. Please repeat this translation after me. As a disease, if initially neglected, becomes acute and impossible to cure, or as the senses, if not controlled at first, are impossible to control later. An enemy, if neglected in the beginning, later becomes insurmountable. I'll read text 39 by myself. Moolam hi Vishnur Devanam Yatra Dharma Sanatanaha Tasya cha Brahma Go Vipras Tapo Yajna Sadakshinaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. The foundation of all the demigods is Lord Vishnu, who lives and is worshipped wherever there are religious principles, traditional culture, the Vedas, cows, brahmanas, austerities, and sacrifices with proper remuneration. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here is a description of Sanatana Dharma, eternal religious principles, which must include Brahmanical culture, brahmanas, sacrifices, and religion. These principles establish the kingdom of Vishnu. Without the kingdom of Vishnu, the kingdom of God, no one can be happy. Nate vidus swartha gatim hi Vishnum. In this demoniac civilization, people unfortunately do not understand that the self-interest of human society lies in Vishnu. Durashaya ye bahirarthamaninaha. Thus, they are involved in a hopeless hope. People want to be happy without God consciousness or Krishna consciousness because they are led by blind leaders who lead human society to chaos. The Asuric adherents of Kamsa wanted to disrupt the traditional condition of human happiness and thus defeat the Devatas, the devotees, and demigods. Unless the devotees and demigods predominate, the Asuras will increase and human society will be in a chaotic condition. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam influenced by their demoniac nature. This is how they think. And these verses indicate they're trying to convince Kamsa that he must immediately do something about the enemy who escaped from his hand. And if Kamsa thinks that the enemy, supposed enemy, is a small child which is just born, then they say, no, no, no. Enemy is dangerous if neglected in the beginning, then later on it will be impossible to defeat the enemy. And they give two examples here. As a disease, if initially neglected, becomes acute and impossible to cure. In the beginning, some very dangerous diseases, the symptoms of this disease will be looking like it's a very minor problem. Just like it starts maybe with some little headache, but merely some headache, which is like a nuisance or a disturbance, is not going to completely incapacitate you. You can manage somehow, continue to do your normal activities in spite of that. But if neglected, then this headache can aggravate and become something else. Initially, one symptom, and then that becomes acute, headache increases, and then very soon, that in addition to the headache, you start getting so many other symptoms of the disease. So, it is always recommended that don't neglect the symptoms of a disease in the beginning stages. Take some precautionary steps to not allow the disease to become aggravated. And one more example they're giving, the senses, if not controlled at first, are impossible to control later. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. Tasmat tvam indriyanyadau niyamya bharatarshava. The third chapter, Arjuna asks a question that by what is one forced or impelled to sinful activities, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? I don't want to do some sinful activity, but I cannot avoid doing it. Somehow there is some force within which I'm unable to resist, due to which I knowingly commit sinful activities. Just like somebody is habituated to smoking a cigarette. In the beginning, they may not have realized it's a bad habit and it is very, very detrimental for their health in the long run. But somehow they get into the habit and later on they want to give up. They know all the bad effects they're suffering. They don't have any more interest or desire, or they don't think it is enjoyable anymore. They want to give up. But how much ever they try to stop, some force is there which is making them somehow do it again and again and again. So this is the question Arjuna is asking. And Krishna's answer is very, 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 very simple. He says in one word, what is the cause of this? Lust, karma. So you can realize how dangerous is this lust or karma. So Krishna explains the characteristics of lust. And most importantly, he says how to overcome this lust. He says, Tasmat, therefore, after describing the characteristic of lust and that it's difficult to overcome, he says, in the very beginning, curb means put down, control, this great symbol of sin or lust by regulating the senses. Regulating the senses means sense control. Sense control is required for conquering lust. And slay means kill, this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Lust, if it is not killed, if it is not destroyed, then it will be the cause of destroying our knowledge and our self-realization. So lust is very dangerous. So Krishna is advising here, regulate the senses from the very beginning. The senses, if not controlled in the beginning, that's what the demoniac ministers are telling. As the senses, if not controlled at first, are impossible to control later. So Krishna's instruction, and in entire Vedic literature, it is said, sense control should be practiced and should begin early enough in life. That means even small children, though they don't understand much what is sense control, or why should we control, etc. Because they are very, very innocent, the parents may neglect to teach the children sense control in the beginning. I think anyway, they deserve to learn such things or deserve to practice later when they grow up. But here it says, and this is a fact, if not controlled at first, the senses are not controlled in the beginning or at first, they are impossible to control later on. Impossible to control later on. Similarly, they are drawing a parallel by giving these two examples. Enemy, if neglected in the beginning, later on becomes impossible to defeat. So what is their plan? What is their suggestion? How to defeat the enemy? For that, they are telling one very fundamental truth about devatas or devotees or divine natured persons. What are they telling? The foundation of all the demigods is Lord Vishnu. This is a statement of the scriptures also. The foundation of all devotees or divine natured persons or devatas, godly people, is Lord Vishnu. Nate viduhu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. Lord Vishnu. Because the scriptures describe Vishnu also as one of the Devatas. Devatas means universal controllers, universal administrators. So Vishnu also, even though he is not actually like the other Devatas, he is not a living entity, he is not subject to the laws of karma, he doesn't take birth like the others who take birth due to the force of karma. He is the Supreme Lord, he is the Supreme Controller, he is the master of everyone and everything. But still, if somebody just superficially reads the scriptures or studies the Vedic literature, they will not be able to recognize Vishnu is not like other devatas. They'll think Vishnu is also a devata. This is the understanding of all non-devotees and materialists, those who know something about the universe and universal administration. They know there are devatas who are universal administrators. Among them, one of them is Vishnu. So Vishnu does his duty, Brahma does his duty, Shiva does his duty. And typically in human society, depending on people's uh, uh, desire for material enjoyment, they will worship different devatas for different purposes. Again, that's the recommendation in the scriptures. If somebody wants to get some material benefit and they want to do so in a pious way, the demoniac way is by hook or crook, you get what you want. Endeavor some or other get what you want. No need to follow any rules, regulations, any uh, any any conduct, code of conduct, nothing. Might is right. If I am powerful enough, then I don't have to care for anybody else who's less powerful than me. I don't bother about them. So this demoniac nature is such that people don't care for any laws of God, laws of nature, laws of karma. And they somehow or the other try to amass some wealth or become subservient to those who have a lot of money and be in their good books to also get some money from them, make friendship with them, and do all kinds of sinful activities in their association. They don't care. They're demoniac nature people, like the ministers of Kamsa. Kamsa himself is demoniac natured person. His ministers are also similar demoniac natured persons, and they are advising him. So this demoniac natured people, they never care for Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. Of course, some of the demoniac people, they don't believe that Vishnu is the Supreme. And others who may know that Vishnu is the Supreme, they conveniently tend to forget the position of Vishnu as eternally the Supreme. They try to bring Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, within the control of nature. Whereas the reverse is true. Vishnu is not a created being like us. Vishnu is the creator. But their theory is, even if Vishnu is considered the topmost among the devatas, still he is also subject to birth and death like all the other devatas, like everybody else in this world. Nobody is an exception. So they think, after all, once Vishnu dies, everything is finished. All the devatas are finished. So therefore, they are telling the foundation of all demigods is Lord Vishnu, which is correct. This is a correct understanding. Foundation of all devotees, all devatas, godly persons is Lord Vishnu. What about people who think Vishnu is one among so many devatas? I believe in Shiva. Somebody else says, I believe in Ganesha. Somebody else says, I believe in myself. I am God. Everyone is God. Their theory is everyone is God. And it's a very dangerous philosophy that everyone is God. It's the worst philosophy. And today in India, this philosophy that everyone is God is the most prominent philosophy. Not only in India, everywhere, all over the world. This philosophy is also called in the scriptures as Mayavada philosophy, Advaita philosophy. Advaita philosophy. So dangerous is this philosophy. So dangerous. Why? Because this philosophy convinces people by logic, by argument, by elaborately presenting Vedic evidence. Vedic evidence. Shankaracharya has written a commentary, a bhashya on the Vedanta Sutra. And this Vedanta Sutra bhashya by Shankaracharya establishes Mayavada philosophy as the correct understanding of the teachings of the Vedas, as the essence of the Vedic philosophy. So, even though Shankaracharya does not say anywhere that everyone is God, all he says is God is spiritual being. God is, can be described as Brahman in Vedic terminology. And all of us, all living beings, we are also Brahman. So there is a statement in the Vedas, Aham Brahmasmi, to assert that we are not the body, we are spirit soul. This statement in one of the Upanishads says, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman or spirit soul. I am spiritual by nature. And God is also spirit. God is also spiritual by nature. So Shankaracharya establishes that ultimately the absolute truth is spiritual nature, of spiritual nature, spirit. Because the Buddhist philosophy establishes that ultimately the absolute truth is something shunya, void. Because we see in this world, anything that is created will remain for some time, afterwards it will be destroyed. So this whole world itself, the universe itself, is created and ultimately it will be destroyed. So then what is the truth about this, about life or about existence or about God? Ultimately, everything is void, shunya. Like after destruction, what remains? Nothing. Nothing remains. Partial destruction, something will remain. Total destruction, pralaya. Pralaya. Laya means destruction. Pralaya means ultimate destruction, total destruction. At the end of this lifespan of Brahma, or whole universe itself is going to come to an end. So, pralaya is a fact, and that is described in the scriptures. So, the Buddhist philosophy establishes void, shunya. That's why Buddhist philosophy is also called Shunyavada. It's a theory which propounds that ultimately God or absolute truth or ultimate reality is shunya, void. Very dangerous philosophy also. So, those who don't properly understand what is really Buddha's teaching, they think that this body is the cause of so many miseries. Okay. Ultimately, this body is simply something material that's going to be destroyed. So, as long as you can live happily with this body, or in this body, or in terms of the body, you live a life, enjoy. But if you at any time feel that you're suffering simply on account of some bodily problem, before death comes, you destroy the body. This is a philosophy. This is not Buddhist philosophy. This is an offshoot of the Buddhist philosophy. That ultimately everything material will be destroyed. And after destruction, what remains? Nothing. So if you have problems, it's all due to the body. Destroy the body. If you can solve the bodily problem, just like somebody has got a disease, the disease is curable, get it cured. If it's not curable, destroy the body. Not curable, destroy the body. This is the foolish misinterpretation of Buddhist philosophy. One of the offshoots of Buddhist philosophy. So, sometime when Prabhupada was in America preaching after 1966, there was this Buddhist cult. One leader, young person, very charismatic, and he was a very powerful preacher of Buddhist philosophy. And he had so many young followers. And one day, he decided, along with all his serious and sincere followers, they're going to commit mass suicide. And why? To end all our problems. Finished. All our problems when he finished, when he commits suicide. Suicide means they don't see it as suicide. They see it as this body should be destroyed. Then what happens to you? You become one with the void, which is the ultimate reality, God.
You keep hearing this. No, we should become one with God, should merge into God. Brahmaikya, Shivaikya. Huh? This, you keep hearing this, right? This is all different versions of the Mayavada philosophy only. This Mayavada philosophy is not known as Mayavada philosophy always, but different versions of this Mayavada philosophy are there in the society. So this uh, leader, cult leader, he one day decided, and it was kept a secret, obviously. He will not reveal it to everybody. Some close followers, immediate followers, and very soon the word spread among the other followers. And the appointed day, all of them assembled in some place. I don't know how they committed suicide. All of them committed suicide. And the whole society is shocked. This fellow, such a influential leader, first he was talking, you be happy by practicing some meditation, Buddhist meditation. All that is fine. By meditation, if you can be happy, if you have some problems, your problems are solved by making your mind peaceful through meditation. So he was teaching meditation, and then they were all following that meditation. Everything was fine. One day, suddenly, he decided, I mean, I don't know whether it is sudden or not. It appears like suddenly he decided, to a layman like us, that they all decided to commit suicide. And they did that. And then it was a very, very, very shocking thing. Then after that, government started banning cults and cult leaders. So there was some discussion in American government that this Hare Krishnas are also like cultists. They have got a cult leader, Prabhupada. They totally surrendered to Prabhupada. So very dangerous. Cults are very dangerous. They do all crazy things. They may not be appearing to do crazy things in the beginning, but later on, they may do crazy things, like it happened with this Buddhist cult leader. So then there was so much opposition to devotees preaching publicly. And then some case was there in the court. In the court, there was the case was heard, and then it was established in the court that this is not a cult, this is not some speculation by some charismatic leader, but it is coming in parampara. And it's not about final destruction, widest philosophy, impersonal philosophy. It's all about life and how to live a meaningful life. It's not about torturing the body. In Bhagavad Gita, clearly Krishna says, austerity in the mode of ignorance is to torture this body. Sometimes when we say austerity involves, in practice of Krishna consciousness, fast, do fasting. So people who are not accustomed to fasting or who are very much pampering their body, they think this fasting is torturing the body. Fasting is torturing the body. But clearly in the 17th chapter described practice of dharma, which involves austerity, doesn't mean that one should torture the body. One should not torture the body while practicing dharma. This is one of the rules, one of the regulations. So don't whimsically fast. Don't fast whenever you like to fast. No. You should fast only under certain specific recommendations of the scriptures. And it has to be done. Not only the recommendation is there in the Shastra, when to fast, how to fast, everything is there. Clear directions are there. But also you need guidance of an experienced or an expert spiritual master. So under guidance of an expert spiritual master, strictly following the recommendations of the scriptures, one should do fasting as an austerity. And not just fasting alone. Everything in spiritual life has to be according to three authorities: Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So why I'm telling this is, to understand God itself, or to try to understand the teachings of the Vedas by reading different commentaries, whose commentary are you going to read? Generally, people like to read those commentaries which is very much pleasing to their mind. It is very pleasing to their mind, or very convincing to their way of thinking. They feel very comfortable. So this dangerous Mayavada philosophy, which says everyone is ultimately Brahman, of the same quality as God or spirit, ultimate spirit, they conveniently neglect to understand the similarities and the differences between God and us. The similarity is we are also of the same quality as God. We are also Brahman, God is also Brahman. But what about quantity? Quantitative difference, they completely ignore or neglect. And sometimes they have a philosophy, many times we used to get in our temple when I was beginning days going to the temple in Bangalore. So somebody would say, according to my understanding, everyone is God. Because in our temple, we tell everybody, Krishna is God. Nobody else is God. Only Krishna is God. Even Ganesha, Shiva, Brahma, Durga, they are not God. Only Krishna is God. So they think that you believe in Krishna. Somebody else believes in Shiva. Somebody else believes in Ganesha. I believe in myself. Like they have these motivational speakers who say, believe in yourself. You can do it. All the impossible things become possible if you think you can do it, if you have confidence in your own self. So all these motivational speakers, and they talk like this. So the same thing is extended to even the realm of spiritual life. So they say, you believe in Krishna, somebody else believes in Buddha, somebody else believes in some other God or whatever. I believe in myself. And what am I? I am Brahman. What is Brahman? God. So I am God. Then we say, see, God actually, he controls everything in the world. So Prabhupada once asked one foolish person who's arguing, we are God, we are God. So he said, do you control the movements of the sun and the moon? He said, yes. As God controls, similarly, I can also control. So now can you stop sun from setting? He says, no, now I cannot. Because I'm practicing. Once I become perfect, then I become God. And these people believe that there was one poster when Prabhupada went to America that Buddha meditated Buddha became God. Rama meditated, Rama became God. Krishna meditated, Krishna became God. You meditate, you can also become God. This was a poster that was there. And early disciples of Prabhupada, they said that this is not a new thing that has come up. They told Prabhupada that this has been there for some number of years before Prabhupada went to America. So they teach some type of meditation where it's called, actually it is described in the Bhagavad Gita by Prabhupada. It's a standard system of meditation among the followers of Shankaracharya. Aham grahopasana. What is it? That you understand that you are actually Brahman. You're not the body. Brahman is the absolute truth, God. So you accept now, under the influence of Maya or illusion, you are thinking you are something other than Brahman, other than God. So thinking you're not God. But when you do meditation, on what should you meditate? Meditate means fixing the concentration and completely absorbing the mind in the thought of that particular object of meditation. So they say, meditate on your own self. Shastras say, meditate on Brahman. Who is Brahman? In terms of Brahman being God, it's Krishna. So meditate on Krishna. Meditate on God. But this Mayavada philosophy says you are a Brahman and you think you are not Brahman or you think you are not God because you are under the influence of Maya. So by practicing meditation, you'll be able to realize you are God. You're not the body. You're not anything material. You're completely spiritual. You have to practice this. So they give various techniques to practice. And some practice they do. And they say, I'm practicing now meditation on Brahman. When I become perfect, I become God. I become Brahman. I become God. Then I'll be able to control everything like God controls. So then you ask the question, common sense question, okay, that is there one ultimate controller or there are many controllers? For this, they have this theory, a pantheistic theory in English philosophy. English term for this philosophy is, there are many gods. There are many gods. Or everything is God. Or everyone is God. Or God is everywhere. All kinds of things they say about this pantheistic theory. There's not just one God or one supreme or one person. No. So this is yet another, according to the atheists, this is yet another philosophy, another theory. So according to this, everyone is God. Some have realized, some are yet to realize. This is what they say. All of us, if we say, no, I am not God, at least I don't have control that God has. So then, oh, no, you're not realized you're God. So the realization is possible by their type of meditation, So they practice this meditation and they say, actually, I am practicing, and when I become perfect, I'll become God. And they believe this also because they like to believe it, They're convinced somehow about the Maya of the philosophy. So similarly, all the atheists, they believe there is no God. They believe there is no God. And if you say, no, there is the whole universe is working according to certain strict laws. And unless there is a controller, there's no possibility that everything will be properly functioning. Common sense, no. Unless there is proper control, how can everything be working without any controller, without any laws? Nothing works properly. So then they say, actually, there's a person sitting there. I want to replace him. I want to overpower him. If at all there is a God, I want to occupy that post of God. They don't understand God is not a post, like Devata's post. Like so many, posts are there in this. In our practical life, we see everyone and everything is a post only, ultimately. Everything, God also is one post. Above all the Devatas, above all the Asuras, above all the human beings, above all the creation, beyond the creation, whatever you say, ultimately there is one person called God. Whatever name you give, whatever characteristics you state, I will overpower that God by increasing my power, my influence, my wealth, my knowledge. This is the endeavor of all materialists and all atheists. Ultimately, they want to deny God, or even if they are unable to deny God, they want to occupy God's position. So, this is all demoniac mentality. It's very simple. This is all demonic mentality. Including Mayavada philosophy is actually an outcome of demoniac brains. Though Shankaracharya is not teaching anything demoniac, he is not teaching anything wrong. He is silent about the differences between God, who is Brahman, and the living entities who are Brahman. So, Shankaracharya is silent about that. Therefore, his followers, who think they are more intelligent than Shankaracharya, they go on further to describe that when it is said you are Brahman, God is also Brahman, that means you are God. Shankaracharya never says you are Brahman, God is Brahman, that he says. He never says, therefore you are God. He never says that. In fact, his teaching is what? Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudhamate. If you think you are God, you are a biggest fool. Instead, he says, surrender to God, become subordinate to God, worship God. So many ways, he has said. This entire Bhaja Govindam Stotra that he has composed, you study that, it's completely in line with the Vaishnava philosophy. It is totally against Mayavada philosophy. So then why did Shankaracharya write that commentary supporting Mayavada philosophy in the Vedanta Sutra, Bhashya? That is because Shankaracharya is originally who? He is Shiva. Even this the Mayavadis don't accept. The Shankaracharya is an incarnation of Lord Shiva. Because Shiva lives in a crematorium. Shiva is smearing his body with ashes. So they don't accept Shankaracharya as Shiva. Shankaracharya is clean. He is Brahmanical, got Brahmanical qualities. You say he's Shiva incarnation? No. He is not Shiva's incarnation. So don't accept that. Anyway, Shastra says he's Lord Shiva himself. And then as Lord Shiva, he has made a statement. Mayavadam asat shastram prachannam bauddham uchyate. Mayavada is asat shastra. Asat shastra means it's a temporary religious principle which is required for a certain time period. Shankaracharya appeared when Buddhist philosophy was very prominent in Bharatvarsha, in India. Buddha preached to stop animal killing. He preached a philosophy which later on evolved as Shunyavada philosophy, widest philosophy. He never preached voidism. He never preached void is the ultimate truth. No, he didn't say that. He was silent about what is the ultimate truth. He was silent about it. Basically, he wanted to stop animal killing in the name of sacrifice. Even now it's going on, no? You know. And there are people who go and offer sacrifice to Durga, Kali, or to some other, sometimes to offer Shiva also. Sometimes in some place I heard they offer even to Narasimha, and they offer Bali. Bali Harana is there in the scriptures, but nowhere it says you can offer animal flesh as Bali. No, there's no such recommendation. So, but still, there are people who do this animal killing in the name of religion. So, Buddha wanted to stop this animal killing in the name of religion. So, he said he rejected the Vedas, which recommend sacrifice. So, he rejected the Vedas. Then Shankaracharya came to re-establish the Vedas among the people in general in the society. So, he came and he explained the Buddhist philosophy is actually defective in that people declare void is the ultimate reality. Brahma Satya, he established the ultimate reality is Brahman, not void. Void is not the ultimate reality. Matter and absence of matter, or creation and destruction, are two facets of the Maya, this illusion. But ultimate reality is beyond this Maya, beyond illusion. And that Shankaracharya established as Brahman, which the scriptures declare as Brahman, the absolute truth, Atma, Brahman, or spirit. And the characters of spirit he described, as described in the Bhagavad Gita by Krishna, the same thing. And like that, he established Brahman as the absolute truth. And he went on to explain we are not void, we are not the body, we are not matter, but we are actually of the same quality as the supreme absolute truth, Brahman. We are also Brahman by quality. Clearly, he establishes this. But then again, the followers who are misled by their own so-called intelligent, independent thinking, they further explained if God is Brahman, you are Brahman, you are also God. So they actually distorted this philosophy, and that's why we say it is called Mayavada philosophy. Mayavada philosophy says that everything in this world is ultimately illusion, including Vishnu, including our understanding of ourself. If you think you are some spirit, something different from the body, and you are inside this body, and they say that is also illusion. That is also illusion. You are not the body, you are not inside the body, you are not you, what you think you are. You are actually the supreme Brahman, absolute truth, ultimate reality, which is the only thing in existence that is beyond this world. And to realize that, you have to actually do some meditation or do some study of the Vedic literature, whatever you do. But ultimately, you have to realize that beyond everything, that reality. And they don't describe that reality because there's only negative description. There's no positive description of God or truth or Brahman or absolute truth, whatever. They don't have any positive descriptions. So therefore, this Mayavada philosophy, which is come into existence after Shankaracharya re-established Vedas among the non-believers, among the atheists, the Buddhists. Buddhists also became atheists because temporarily Buddha had to deny the Vedas, because on the strength of the Vedic uh, uh, sacrificial description of sacrifice, uh, they were actually uh, uh, indiscriminately killing animals because they were addicted to meat eating. The real reason for sacrifice is not that they are very religious and they want to please some Kali or some god or something. No, it was actually basically an excuse for meat eating. So Buddha established ahimsa as the topmost religious principle. And for the sake of establishing this, he completely denied animal killing, sacrifice itself. He denied all forms of sacrifice. So Buddha had to do that for the time being. Therefore, it's called Buddhist philosophy is called Asat Shastram. Similarly, this philosophy that we are all Brahman, and based on which Shankaracharya wrote the commentary in Vedanta Sutra, is Asat Shastram. It is for the time being to re-establish Vedas among the non-believers. It is meant for the non-believers. It is meant for the atheists. It meant for the people who deny the Vedas. According to Vedic scriptures, those who deny the Vedas, those who don't accept the Vedas, they're called Nastika. And Astika is just the opposite. Those who accept the Vedas, their life is exactly according to the Vedic scriptures, which is accepted as authority. But these Vedas have to be received from proper source, that will be explained by proper acharyas. So later Vaishnava acharyas, they gave the correct explanation of the Vedas, which were re-established by Shankaracharya, which had been denied by Buddha, all for some temporary periods of time. So both Buddha and Shankaracharya, Buddha is the Lord himself. Shankaracharya is the pure devotee, Lord Shiva. So he is Acharya. He is perfect. But time being, he just explained among the atheists this Mayavada philosophy used to re-establish the Vedas. Similarly, Buddha, just to stop animal killing, he denied Vedic sacrifices and denied the Vedas itself completely. So like that, these are all Asat Shastra. The Sat Shastra, the eternal religious principles, are given not in the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas, which promises so many material benefits by doing so many pious activities, or the Jnana Kanda, which promises liberation by merging into God or becoming one with God through some meditation or through some study of the scriptures, etc. Neither of them is eternal religious principle. Eternal religious principle is called bhakti. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje. Paradharma and aparadharma. Paradharma is eternal religious principles, transcendental religious principles. And aparadharma is some material religious principles. Material, just like the duties we have towards our parents, towards our society, towards all the material duties that we have to perform in relationship with the body and the bodily connections and the bodily extensions. These are all meant for the time being. As long as this body is there, as long as we are dependent on the body, we have to actually follow these material religious principles. But they're not eternal religious principles. They're not Sat Dharma. They are asat dharma. So asat, one meaning is false, another meaning is temporary. There are two meanings of the word asat. So temporary religious principles, asat dharma, asat shastra, are meant for a certain time period, are meant for a certain situation. As long as body is there, we have to do our material duties. We should not neglect. But once one transcends the bodily existence, or once the body is given up, then there is no need of following any of those temporary bodily religious principles meant for upkeep of the body, meant for upkeep of the society. So the eternal religious principles are irrespective of time, place, circumstances, people. It are these, like chanting Hare Krishna. They are meant for everyone under all circumstances. Bhakti is meant for everyone, all times, all yugas, all places, all persons. So much so that even animals, if animals chant or animals hear Hare Krishna, they also become liberated from material bondage. They also become devotees. That is how you find Garuda is a devotee, but Garuda is a vulture, whatever that creature is. Hanuman in the shape of a monkey, he is a devotee. But we should understand, once they become devotees, they're not to be counted as monkeys or eagles. Or once somebody born in a Shudra family, and in the beginning days, in the childhood days, they were behaving like a Shudra, acting like a Shudra. But if they become a Vaishnava, a devotee, and they're strictly following all the devotional principles, they don't exhibit any of the Shudra characteristics or behavior, then they should not be treated like Shudras. They're no longer Shudras. They are even higher than Brahmanas. They're greater than Brahmanas as devotees. Devotee doesn't belong to any of the classifications of Varna or Ashrama. So, like that, Sat Shastra, that is Bhagavata Dharma, or this Sanatana Dharma, eternal religious principles, are all described in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Certain specific literature, specifically the Bhakti literature. All other literatures are meant to bring us to the point of surrender to Krishna in devotional service. Meant to bring us to the point of understanding and following the Bhagavata Dharma. One may directly take up Bhagavata Dharma without any qualification, just begin chanting Hare Krishna. Or somebody is thinking, I'm not qualified, or I'm not ready, or I don't want to do it now, then they may come through the gradual process of following Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, different religious, temporal religious principles. You may follow them. Okay, do material duties very nicely, very sincerely, very obediently. So like that, they may come gradually, elevate themselves to the point of coming to Bhakti or Bhagavata Dharma. So I'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. 10th of this month, that is not tomorrow, the next Monday, we'll be celebrating Sri Nityananda Trayodashi. It is the appearance day, divine appearance day of Lord Nityananda. He is Balaram himself. When Lord Krishna appeared 500 years back as Chaitanya, Balaram appeared as Nityananda. And they taught us this Sankirtana and the Hare Krishna mantra. So we'll be having a grand Abhishek for Sri Sri Nitai Gauranga, Gaur Nitai deities. in the evening, followed by Arati, Kirtans, and Prasadam feast. You're all invited to participate in this festival. Monday, 10th of February from 6 p.m. onwards. Hare Krishna.